Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Visal Shah Community Zoom meeting for public speaking and leadership skills being conducted by Komal Shah. We'll start with the Navkar mantra. So if you guys, people can just wait, give me a moment. So a quick introduction of Komal. Komal Shah is a twice world champion and national winner in public speaking contests. She's been awarded Competent Leader and Public Speaker. She's been a speaker at the United Nations and BBC International TV. She has hosted her own yoga and breathing show on East FM. Sorry, one moment. She's been awarded Competent Leader and Public Speaker. She's been a speaker at the United Nations and International TV. She has hosted her own yoga and breathing show on East FM. By profession, she's a nutritionist, a yoga therapist, and a naturopath. She's the founder of the Veer Kund Kund Kahan Jain Youth Association, and she's also an Oswald Awards winner. She does public speaking coaching for both adults and children. So Komal, I will pass over the meeting to you. She's the founder of the Veer Kund Kund Kahan Jain Youth Association, and she's also an Oswald Awards winner.
Thank you, Janelle. Greetings, everybody. I hope you're doing well. And today, after many days, it is a sunny day in Nairobi. And I see that people have tuned in from many parts of the world. So thank you for that. So without further ado, let's begin. Public speaking, or just speaking in any small crowd, is extremely important. Why? Because we need to put our message across to the audience. And it is vital in most cases, because if the message is not clear, then obviously there will be miscommunication and misunderstanding. It is a vital skill not only for adults, but children as well, be it at university or in schools. So let's learn a few tips and tricks of how we can make our speaking more comfortable. It is a well-known fact that public speaking scares a large number of people. And in reality, it is not as difficult as it appears, only if we know the tricks of how to speak in public. Let's start with speech writing. 50% of your work is done if your speech is correctly written. Remember, delivery comes later on. But if your speech is not properly written, then your delivery will also not be good. I feel that I'm talking to myself. I can't see your faces. Can you please turn on your videos so that I feel like I also have an audience? Okay, so some of you have turned it on, thanks. So let's continue. 50% of our work is done if the speech is written properly. How do you write a speech? It starts with your opening. Let's take examples of normally how we would start a speech. My name is Komal Shah. Today I'm going to speak on public speaking. That is normally what we hear. Now, this is one of the worst kinds of openings, because everybody knows that, you know that, I know that I'm here, and you know my name and you know my topic as well. So why do you want to repeat it and waste those precious 7 to 10 seconds? And if your audience is bored in the first 7 to 10 seconds, what will they do? They will pick up their mobile phone and start browsing. So you want to avoid that. You want to totally avoid that. And instead, you want to make your opening so catchy, so it should be written extremely well. Let's take an example of how it should be written. Kilimanjaro, standing tall, strong, and wise for many a century. You might not remember my whole speech. You might not even remember what I was trying to say in my speech, but you will remember my opening. Simply because it was so catchy that whatever you were doing, maybe you were looking at your phone, maybe you were talking to your neighbor, whatever you were doing, suddenly there's a loud voice which comes out and this catches your attention. So the first and foremost thing that you need to do is you need to make your opening so catchy that everyone looks at you. Everybody wants to know what you're going to be speaking about. Let's take an example of a bad opening. Chocolate is better than milk, but I don't like milk. See, it was a long sentence. It was so long that you probably missed out a few words. That was one thing which should be avoided. The second thing that should be avoided is to use a negative word like not. Remember, the human brain will register a positive sentence a lot faster than a negative sentence. If I say, for example, milk is better than chocolate, you will remember. But if I use the same sentence that chocolate is not better than milk, the brain takes a longer time for it to register. So try to make your opening as clear as possible, as short as possible. The first sentence should be very, very short. Avoid starting your speech with good morning, good afternoon. Everybody knows it's morning, it's afternoon or evening. Avoid that. Use the first 7 to 10 seconds to grab your audience's attention. Speak maybe 2-3 sentences and then say the greetings. Greetings, everybody. I welcome you all for today's seminar. Then you can start with the greetings, but avoid using the very, very popular good morning, good afternoon that we always hear in any speech. So that's the opening. Now let's come to the body. The body, remember, here people are not reading, so they cannot go back to the page and read a paragraph again. Here people are listening, and usually the attention span is quite limited. To avoid confusing your audience and to avoid giving them a lot of information which they might not even remember, ideally, I'm not saying in all cases, ideally try to only use 3 points. Only 3 points. And in 3 points, try to put your message across, whatever you want to say. For example, it can be a speech about goal setting. And you might want to use 3 words and then elaborate on it. Passion, persistence, and perseverance. Did you notice that I used P, P, and P? People remember this very, very easily. If you, and then you can expand on it. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of those 3 words. The first word can be perseverance. You can use an example of a person maybe who tried several times to do something. He might have failed and eventually he succeeded. So that is a good example. So examples quickly register because, generally we know famous people. If you use a famous, maybe sportsman who may have failed a couple of times, and then eventually he made it, eventually he got a gold medal, it will quickly register into the brain. So try to use examples, and if you use examples, this will quickly grasp into the audience's mind. Let's use another example of passion. Steve Jobs was extremely passionate about creating the world's best computer systems, and maybe use his example that he used to work day and night. He did not stop working, and immediately it will paint a picture of Steve Jobs. Immediately you will be able to see Steve Jobs, and you will be able to see his whole life in just that one paragraph. So paint a picture. Let's take another example. Dipping pani puri in luscious green water is extremely delicious. Immediately you will be able to see it. Try to paint pictures. If you can paint a picture, your audience will be attracted to you. They will be attracted to what you're saying. So your speech writing is extremely important. Don't make your paragraph lengthy. Don't make them boring. Rather, try to make it flowy. Let's take an example. Listen to this carefully. Fellow friends and guests, isn't the journey of our lives similar to climbing a mountain? It is a test of perseverance and patience. It is a test of sheer willpower against all odds, and a test of true friendship. What will immediately register in your audience's mind is the word test. It has appeared 3 times. And remember, 3 is always a good number. 3, the person will be able to register it very, very quickly. So 3 points in your body. Try to use 3 words with the same letter. For example, P, P, and P. That's one example. The second tip can be that you can use an example for explaining each paragraph. And when you show, or like when you paint a picture, your audience will immediately click, and they will remember your speech for a very, very long time. Why is it that we remember Martin Luther King's speech till today? Simply because of the 2-3 sentences that he has used in his speech. We don't know the full speech because maybe it was for half an hour or so. But there are certain sentences that he has used that the whole world remembers his speech, and it is used in many speech workshops as an example. So these are some of the tips how we can enhance our public speaking experience and make it comfortable both for the speaker and for the audience. Now moving on slowly to our ending or our summary. In the summary, again, try to say the 3 points again, whatever you wanted to say. Try to repeat the 3 points, and always remember, never ever use words like if, maybe, let's try it out. These are weak words. These are extremely weak words. As a speaker, you must be bold, you must be strong, and you must believe in what you're speaking. So avoid using like weak words in your ending. Rather say it, you can do it. You are a born leader. You are born to be successful. Try to use a phrase which is so strong that it motivates your audience. Immediately, it can motivate your audience in such a way that they immediately want to do whatever you have asked them to do. They might not like to do certain things, but as a speaker, you have been so motivating that they immediately want to start to do it. One more tip about your ending. Don't make it lengthy again, and try to slow down during your ending. For example, let's take an example. So I will say it in 2 ways. You can do it. Now listen to this. You can do it. The impact will be a lot more when you say it slowly and loudly, rather than you finishing your ending in such a haste because you're like, oh, finally I finished my speech, now I can go and sit. Make your ending so bold, so strong that your audience, even if they do not remember your entire speech, they will remember you for your opening and for your closing. So let's go back to speech writing one more time before we move on to the next point. For speech writing, ensure that your sentences are short. Don't make them lengthy, boring, confusing, that your audience needs to think that what is she talking about? Is she even making any sense? Make them short and do not use technical words or difficult words. Use simple language so that your entire audience can understand. Remember, in your audience, there might be children, there might be adults, there might be people who have got less education than others. So try to use your words as simple as possible, as quickly understandable as possible. Point number 2. Make your opening so catchy that even if somebody is speaking to their neighbor, looking at their phone, they want to put it down and just give you your full attention. That they just want, that immediately that they're glued to you. Point number 3, in your speech, generally, this is not in all cases, generally try to use only 3 points to explain what you want to say. It could be maybe a speech about the environment. Try to use only 3 points. Don't make it long. Don't try to give them too much information. Make it as short and sweet as possible. And 3 is always a good number. It is better than 2. It is better than 1. So give them 3 points and try to make them understand by giving them examples of what you actually want to speak. Point number 4, use examples in each paragraph. Use examples like we used the example of Steve Jobs because everybody knows him. Whether we have seen him, we have not seen him, whether we have ever met him, everybody knows him. Try to use a prominent personality and show, look, he had failed and then he did X, Y, Z and he became extremely successful. And one more point that I forgot to mention earlier, try to use a personal story as well, because this connects with the audience very, very well. For example, when I was in school, I used to have a stammer. And I used to find it difficult to speak in front of an audience because I always used to get scared. And it was actually the fear which used to make me stammer more than actually the problem with the stammer. But the minute you identify your problem, you start to rectify your problem. So try to share a personal story, which will also boost the audience's confidence on like public speaking. So these are the few points. Now, coming to your conclusion. Coming to your conclusion, make it as short as possible. Don't make it too lengthy. Remember to repeat the 3 points that you have spoken about. After that, end it with a very, very strong statement where there are no half words like try, maybe, let's see if you can do it. No, it should be strong. You can do it. You are born to be successful. Use sentences which will motivate your audience so that immediately they want to implement what you want to ask them to do. Is that clear? Does anybody have any questions before we move further? No, there are no hands up. Okay, so you are a very smart audience. Now we move on to the next 50% of your speech experience. The next 50% is how you deliver your speech, how convincing you are in your voice. If I have the same tone throughout my speech, naturally, not only will I get bored of speaking, but you will get bored of listening as well. Because it is only natural that the same tone makes it boring. Let there be vocal variety. Let there be emotions in your words. Let there be emotions in your words and paint your picture. As I've said it, first you need to write it in a way that the picture can be painted. Now you have to say it in a way that they can visualize the blue ocean that you're talking about. That they feel that they are sitting in a coastal area, that they feel that they are sitting on the boat and they're fishing, or maybe they are swimming in the ocean. You should be able to put such words that they can paint a picture. Let's take one example. Her nails were cutting into her palms. Oh, what pain she must be in. I am sure you will be able to visualize that the nails were actually cutting into the palms. Try to use words which can paint a picture so beautifully that not only do they remember your speech, but even they remember the style you used to express your words. Point number 2. Identify 3 to 4 people in your audience who you can look at. Remember, like in Zoom, it is a bit confusing because we can't even see the audience, and the only person who I can see on the large screen is me. But in a hall, try to identify 3-4 people, in one on your left, one in the center, and maybe one on your right. And move your head from right to center to left. This way, your audience will feel that you're also talking to them. Sometimes we know some people in the audience, you can even use their name so that they feel that connection with you when you're speaking to them. Now that Zoom is in use, let's also learn a few tips on Zoom. On Zoom, try to ensure that your lighting is proper. If your lighting is not good, your audience will get bored after a while. So ensure that your lighting is good, because here we cannot see the people. All we can see perhaps on the large screen is ourselves. So ensure that your lighting is good and your voice is loud enough. I think those are the few tips on Zoom, because Zoom is perhaps a lot easier than in an audience. And it is always better to talk in front of an audience rather than choosing Zoom as an option. So we talked about eye contact. Eye contact, try to identify 3-4 people. When you're standing on the stage, avoid sitting on the stage. When you're standing on the stage, try to pace. Don't pace in an unnatural way that makes you uncomfortable, and also your audience will become uncomfortable. Try to make it as natural as possible so that your audience feels, oh, she's even talking to me. Oh, she's even talking to me. Pace in a way, don't stand in one position. Because at times when we see speakers, they're standing in one position and they can only look at a certain angle. Avoid that. Try to hold the mic in your hand and try to pace. If you can, try to memorize your speech, and so that you do not have to hold the paper in your hand. Because when you're holding the paper in one hand and the mic in the other hand, sometimes it becomes uncomfortable. So as much as you can, try to memorize your speech. In case you cannot memorize your speech, that's fine as well. Memorize your opening and memorize your ending or your closing statements. This way, the audience will have direct contact with you and they will want to listen to you. Public speaking is actually a lot more fun than we can express, because here I'm only giving you tips. We're not doing practical work. Maybe once things are a bit better and we can have a practical workshop, maybe at Oswald Center, you will actually see that it's a lot more fun than me just telling you or like rather just sharing tips, because then you will practically do it. So try to use your like full stage. Sometimes the stage is too large. You do not need to use the full stage. Try to use the center of the stage and pace in the center of the stage. This way you are covering your entire audience. Point number 5. Try to practice your speech again and again and again and again and again until you have perfected it. Because the minute you start to say, oh, sorry, oh, I forgot, or like maybe if you start to use crutch words like actually, because, these are all crutch words. Your audience might not even recognize them as you're speaking. But as a speaker, you should be aware that you should be avoiding such words. In case you make a mistake, do not worry at all. Do not worry at all. Continue on with your speech because only you know your speech. Nobody else knows your speech. The minute you say, oh, sorry, you are actually telling your audience, I made a mistake. And this is something that you're not supposed to do. Avoid saying I am sorry simply because you are attracting negative attention from the audience. Continue with your speech, no problem. Even if you forgot a few lines, maybe if you say the point wrong as well, remember your audience has a very, very low memory capacity when they're listening to you. When you have realized you have made a mistake, try to rectify your mistake by repeating those sentences correctly. Because obviously you do not want to give wrong information to your audience as well. So practice is the key for any good public speaker. You might think that, oh, she is a good speaker, he is a good speaker, but do you know the amount of work which goes behind the scenes? For my Toastmasters contests, for a 5-minute speech, I used to practice for 40 hours. So it's not that all speakers are natural speakers. In fact, 90% of the speakers are not natural speakers. They are just practicing so well and with so much dedication that when they actually deliver their speech, it appears flawless. Time is a factor. Do not bore your audience with a very lengthy, boring speech. Try to make it short. Try to make it short and get to the point quickly. Ensure that your introduction is not too long. Your introduction is only supposed to be 3 to 5 sentences. After that, your body is supposed to be maybe 50 to 70 sentences. And your conclusion, again, 3 to 5 sentences. So ensure that you follow this method rather than making your introduction too long, your body short, and then your ending either too long or too short. So these are the few tips on how one can actually write a good speech and deliver a good speech. Is there any other question before I move on? Okay, no questions. So let's quickly remind ourselves how to deliver a good speech. Point number 1, ensure that your opening is extremely strong. It is so strong, never, ever, ever start with good morning or any form of greetings. Ensure that you have a very strong opening so that your audience will remember you for your opening. Your body should be of 3 points. Again, paint a picture. Paint a picture, use very strong words. Don't use words like maybe, if, because, actually. Avoid crutch words. Point number 3, your conclusion. At that time, the pace starts to slow down. Slow down your pace instead of rushing into your conclusion and finishing off your speech. And point number 4, try to repeat the 3 points that you have said in your body. If you repeat it, it is immediately going to register in your speaker's mind, because here we're not reading a book where we can turn the page and read the previous paragraph again. So these are a few points of how to deliver a good speech and to become a very good speaker. Practice, practice, and practice. This way you will ensure that you have memorized your words. And in case if you want to even change your words when you're speaking, that will also be possible because now you know the gist of your speech. One very important aspect, now I'm going to make the audience do this. Okay, somebody's asking a question. Can you deliver this speech in Gujarati and in English? Okay, I will try. So one very important point is impromptu speaking. Because it's not just at the workplace, it could be anywhere. It is literally anywhere. You could be sitting with friends, somebody asks you a question and you're like, I don't know. So to avoid that, try to listen to the question carefully and speak. Let's try it out because it is a lot easier than you think. There is one more question. I will just a second. How does one overcome mind blank moments due to stage fright? Just a second. Okay. Due to stage fright, even though you have practiced and practiced. Okay, so Hina, that's a very good question. How to avoid mind blankness? Identify one person in the audience who's really familiar to you and who's really encouraging. It could be one person, it could be two, it could be three, but one is always good so that you can keep on looking at one person because as it is, you're nervous at that time. So keep on looking at that one person and what you could do as well, ask that person to ask you a question that you already know. So this way, even when you are in a position to answer questions, you already know the answer and you will not get mind blank in two scenarios. One, during answering your Q&A time, and secondly, when you're delivering your speech. Most of the time, you will not get stage fright if you have practiced and practiced. Remember, you can practice in front of a mirror. Or what I prefer, personally, what I prefer is to practice in front of your mentors. Because at Toastmasters, every speaker was always assigned a mentor. And when you're speaking in front of your mentor, he or she will be able to correct you where you're going wrong. And secondly, your confidence will also boost because now you actually have an audience, even though it's just one person. You still have that experience of an audience before you actually go on stage. Hina, I hope I've answered your question. Okay, moving on to impromptu speaking. Impromptu speaking is extremely important because sometimes at the workplace or just in a social environment where you're asked to speak and you freeze or maybe you cannot answer, you lose an opportunity which was perhaps meant to be yours. So let's practice this because without practice, I could give you a lecture on it for the next half an hour, but it will still not make sense. I will ask you very simple questions. Be bold to raise your hand and to speak. Because it is only when you speak, and remember to turn on your video, so this way you will feel that, that excitement of speaking or that nervousness of speaking, because now your video is on. And that nervousness will slowly start to decrease the more and more you practice. I will start with the first question. Explain to me what you would do at your favorite holiday destination. Come on, be bold. We want one volunteer. Raise your hand. Otherwise, I will have to pick somebody. Sureka. Sureka, you can speak in English or in Gujarati, whatever you're comfortable.
Hi, sorry, I'm using my mother's phone.
Okay.
Yes. Jare hu holiday ma hoy, I like having Bhagwanji Kachori in Mombasa.
Continue.
Delicious. With the chutney.
Okay, so that was a good try. So now you will have to speak for 1 full minute, which is actually a very short time, but when you start to speak, you will realize that it is actually a very long time. So let's ask another question. Again, it is very simple. On a sunny Sunday, what will you do? Remember, you have to speak for 1 minute. Yeah, Mr. Nattu Gutka, you have to unmute yourself. Sorry, we cannot hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
I will have my favorite cappuccino in the morning when the life begins.
Continue. You still have another 55 seconds.
Now, it gives me strength and my day is better with the cappuccino. That is all I want to say.
Thank you for trying. Thank you for trying, but you only took us till breakfast. The whole day was remaining, so you had to take it. Sorry, who is speaking in between? Okay, please unmute. Sorry, please mute yourselves when I am talking, and then you will also get an opportunity to speak. So you only took us through your breakfast time, but the whole day was remaining. So are you seeing you had 55 more seconds to convince your audience, but you did not use 55 seconds? These are very simple sentences, but it could be a scenario where you need to convince maybe maybe you need to convince somebody who is going to blast a building. You have 1 minute only to convince him that why you should not blast this building. Let's see who can answer that. You have 1 minute. Remember, there are thousands and thousands of people who are relying on your 1 minute speech. Who would like to try? Okay, can I ask Hina to try? Hina Gupta?
Life is wonderful if you know how to live.
Who is speaking? Okay, can I have one volunteer? Hina, would you? Okay, Surekha again has raised her hand. Okay, you can try.
Okay, I have 1 minute, but 1 minute is not enough to tell you how important the Majanwari temple is. You cannot blast the temple. Temple is a spiritual place. Nobody will like it if you blast the temple. They will not like you. It is bad behavior. Abuna karai, abo karab che.
Okay, thank you for trying. Your effort says that you are a good speaker, and in the future you have potential to improve. So let's evaluate your speech. See, his was a comical speech which was not required in this scenario. So try to assess your scenario, because there are thousands of people who might lose their lives and you are using comedy over here. So this was not required. Now, how do you evaluate? This is an important point. How do you evaluate? There's a sandwich method. You always start with the strong points of the speaker. Please be on mute. So how do you evaluate? Try to use, or rather, say the strong points of the speaker. You were confident, you had the courage to speak in front of an audience, and your voice was very clear. Now, where do you need to improve? This was not a comical situation, hence your voice or your tone needed to be more serious. Your choice of words needed to be more serious. Again, end with a positive note, that your audience appreciated your gesture to speak in front of an unknown crowd. So let's see, now we will have one speaker and one evaluator. I'm going to ask a question and then we will have another volunteer who will evaluate. Your question is, once the lockdown is completely over in Nairobi or in the city you are tuned in from, where would you like to go and visit? Somebody has raised their hand. Who is it? Your name is not visible. Please state your name because there's no name.
My name is Manav.
Mona, please turn on your video so we can see you.
I have.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
I still can't find you. Just give me a second. Okay, I can see you.
Once the lockdown has ended, I can't wait to visit my local bowling alley. I love bowling so much. It's so fun. The first thing I'm going to do is try and get as many strikes as I can so I can improve my skills. Even though I'm not very good at it, it's still very enjoyable and I do have a lot of fun. COVID, however, has stopped me going there due to the numerous lockdowns and quarantines. But as soon as that's over, I can't wait to be back and have fun again.
That was very well spoken, and you were very confident. You did not use any crutch words. Let's see who can evaluate you now. Let's have one volunteer to evaluate. Monil. Only if you try, you will become better. So don't fear, even if your evaluation is not up to the mark. It is only if you speak it, we will be able to assist you where you need to improve. Can we have Rajvi to evaluate, please? I think it's Kush. I think I can see Kush. Kush, try. Kush is a very good speaker.
Hi.
Yes, come on, Kush,
Hello?
try. Yes.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you please evaluate Manav, or is it Monil? Sorry, I didn't get the
I
name.
think he was a very good speaker, full of...
We have lost you. Please say it again.
He was a very good speaker, full of confidence.
Continue to evaluate him. Remember, you start with the positive. You give 3 points of improvement or 2 or 1 point of improvement. And then again, you end it with a strong point of the speaker.
What is 3 points? I saw that he can be a very good public speaker because he was very confident. He was not stammering. And he was looking at the camera.
Can you please tell your points of improvement? Okay, technology doesn't always help us because sometimes we lose them via the internet connectivity. So points of improvement, Monil, you use the word fun too many times. Avoid it. Definitely, you're a very confident speaker. You did not have any crutch words, and try to avoid, actually, it's been a few minutes since even I heard your speech. Okay, so you are a very confident speaker. There was no doubt there. Points of improvement, try to avoid using repetitive words like fun. And to conclude, continue to speak more in public, and definitely you will become a better speaker. Let's try one more time. If we have people participating, you will actually enjoy more and speak quickly so that your audience also doesn't get bored. Let's have one more question. In October, we have World Environment Day. Kindly suggest what you would like to do to improve our environment. You have 2 months to prepare yourself. Be quick. Have any hands up? Let's ask Bina and Mitesh. Bina and Mitesh, why don't you try? Bina is a good speaker. Bina, try. No? Any other volunteers? Priya Shah, would you like to try? No volunteers. Okay. Okay, Manav would like to try again. Manav? 1 minute. Just make it, okay. Start.
Our environment is key to our life on Earth. However, it could all end as we continue to destroy it with our high plastic pollution and carbon emissions. We can all help to save our environment by cleaning up plastic on the beaches and, for example, having teams sent out across parks as well to clean them up. We can also reduce our carbon emissions by using less electricity when we don't need to and turning off the lights when we're not in a room, as this will help save the environment as less pollution is being produced. It's also better to use public transport as more people are using one vehicle instead of lots of different vehicles. If we all do this, we've got a better shot at trying to save our environment than if we don't. If we don't, we may not survive for long.
That was excellent, Manav. Who would like to evaluate him? Remember the sandwich method. I would like Mr. Himmat to evaluate Manav. Come on, try. You will be able to do it.
Thank you very much. I think this was a very young and confident speaker. He covered the matter quite well, and he did not use any of those words which are not necessary. So I think an excellent speaker with confidence. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so one important aspect of public speaking is listening. Because we all like to speak, but hardly we like to listen. And let's test your listening skills. What is, or like rather, what are the best ways to start a speech? Let's see who remembers and who can answer. Manav, I know you are one of the better speakers in the audience. I will definitely give you a chance if there is nobody else raising their hand. Okay, Manav, you can go for it.
When you're starting a speech, you should try and use something that will draw the audience in.
Sorry, Manav, to interrupt you. Please turn on your video.
Sorry. So when you start a speech, you should use something which will engage the audience in the first 7 to 10 seconds. So they, for example, put down whatever they're doing to distract them, as they'll get enticed into your speech. You should use something as maybe like a quote from a figure of authority or a visual image. It's a picture of heads.
I'm going to ask a question and then we will have another volunteer who will evaluate. Your question is, once the law... Continue, Manav.
That was what I had to say.
Well done, Manav. You have covered most of the points. Question number 2. How do you close your speech, or what should your ending be like? What is the best way to end your speech? Can I ask Vrinda Sharma to try? Vrinda Sharma, would you like to try? Try to speak. It's only when you speak, your confidence will build. Okay, don't try to me in the chat. Rather, I want you to speak. Because all of you can write well. There is no doubt about that. Okay, Vrinda is asking. She's asking me to repeat the question. Vrinda, how do you close a speech effectively or in the best way? What is the best way to end your speech?
With the strong
Vrinda,
words.
Hi, sorry for taking time.
Sorry, Vrinda, please turn on your video so that everyone can see you.
I'm not dressed to be on video, please.
Okay,
so
okay.
that's why I am speaking without the video on. My apologies for that. I just got a message about this and I wanted to join and listen to this, and I got it only 5 minutes before you started. So thank you so much for the lesson that you're giving. How to close a speech. I would close it with a sentence which would basically consolidate what I spoke about, and a sort of a catchphrase which would stay in the memory of people. I know I'm doing all the ums and ohs which are not acceptable, but maybe because I haven't thought this through, I would like to give you an example. Maybe if I was giving a speech on a holiday destination, and I would be talking about Mombasa, I would finish with, we would all like to be in Mombasa to enjoy the warmth of the city and the beautiful scenic beaches and the waving palms. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's how I would end.
Okay, so very good try. The fact that you tried will always improve your skills. So the mistake you made was you used the first 2 minutes or so in explaining what you were doing, why you got this message late. The audience is not interested. You simply had to get to the point. Your question was that how should you close a speech? So this was the mistake you made. That avoid speaking all the extra stuff that you did, that you did not get time to dress up, etc., etc. Get straight to the point how you should close a speech. That's it. Don't waste your time. Don't waste the audience's time. Next, how should you write your body? Generally, how should you write your body? Who would like to try? Let's ask Sheila's iPad to try. Sheila, would you like to try? If not, Jayan Patel. Jayan Patel, would you like to try?
Hi, Komal.
Hi, please turn on your video.
In your body, you should have 3 points, which express succinctly, clearly, and in an interesting fashion what you would like to convey to the audience, what you would like the audience to remember from what you have spoken about. And in particular, what you would like the audience to take away and start to implement in their lives. So in your main body, make 3 points, and preferably with each point, use an example to illustrate each point. If you can use an example of famous people or common occurrences that are well known to the audience, this can reinforce and strengthen the impression that your speech will make on your audience. So in your main body, make 3 points with an example for each point.
You spoke extremely well. So points of improvement. Your tone was same throughout your 1 or 2 minutes of speaking. Try to use vocal variety. So this will just make your speech interesting. Okay, one more question. Can somebody give an example? I'm just going to use the word Steve Jobs, but you can use any other famous personality. Can somebody give an example of Steve Jobs, how he started with a very low phase in his life and slowly started to climb up the ladder? Remember, you can use any other famous personality. I simply want you to express how one can improve in their life. Try to use words that will paint a picture. Can Galaxy A32 try? Galaxy A32. If not, Mr. Praful Chandaria, can you please try? Give it a try. You might surprise yourself. Okay, Manav would like to try. Manav?
When Steve Jobs was working, he made sure that he put as much effort and time into it as possible, that when the final product came out, it was as best as he could make it. So even though he didn't start off as one of the best, the amount of effort and time he put into his work helped him get up to the top of the ladder, because when he put in all that work and time and effort, it helped him improve his product as he was perceiving, and had lots of persistence to improve its good parts and to solve its flaws.
Very well spoken, Manav. I'm not sure if I can find any fault in this particular speech. I think you spoke very well. Okay, so let's try it again. Look, you have to interact, because this public speaking is about speaking. I can only share tips with you, but if you don't speak, or if you don't show the courage, whatever I say might not be useful to you. So try to turn on your video, number one, so that we can see who you are. And number two, when I ask the questions, please raise your hand. Now, slightly harder. Who would like to try to speak a speech with a good opening, body, and closing? Remember, you already have the information because you are a master in your own field. You could talk about your work, which might be the easiest over here, because you are doing it day in, day out. Or you could talk about something that you're very passionate about. And this is, again, an easy topic because you know a lot about it. So the question is a lot easier than you think. All you have to do is try. The minute you try, you will improve. I'm going to request Deepu Mahajan to speak. Deepu?
Hi, I'm actually just listening.
Lost you somewhere.
My internet's a little erratic also, so
Okay, let's ask somebody else to try. Can we ask Meena Shah to try? Okay, Events House Kenya, you seem like somebody who's quite out there. I think it'll be easy for you. Advertise your product. Remember, there are lots of people over here. Advertise your product. Event House Kenya.
I can have a go otherwise.
Who is that?
Himmat.
Okay, Himmat, please start.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In Kenya, I think we got so many blind people moving around with assistance and so on. We need to look at these people and see how we can serve them and give them sight. At the Lions Eye Hospital, we have all the facilities to operate on corneas, on cataracts, and these would put these blind people be able to see again. So please, if you know of any of these people who are blind and suffering, I would suggest you bring them to the Lions Eye Hospital so that we can treat them and make them independent again. Thank you.
Manav, can you please evaluate Mr. Himmat? Evaluate him. And then we'll have iPhone to speak another speech. Just a second. Manav.
It was a good speech because he gave a few points which were detailed and interesting. But when he's starting off and ending, he should not start off with good morning, everyone, and catchier start to draw the audience in, and also the conclusion. He shouldn't really say thank you at the end, but to also make it interesting.
Well done, Manav.
Thank you, Manav.
iPhone. Can you, your hand is up. Please turn on your video so that we can see you.
Hi, can I please try give a speech?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay. So I wanted to talk to you all about chess. Who plays chess over here? I personally love chess. It's my favorite sport, and I really encourage each and every one of you to start playing it. Now, you may ask, why play chess? What are the benefits of it? Well, I'm here to tell you there are numerous benefits of playing chess. When I started as a little kid playing chess, I was just 5, and I saw this giant chessboard in school, and it immediately drew me to it. Ever since then, my mathematical and science skills have improved. I can now concentrate for long periods of time, and I can focus very, very well on my studies. My favorite chess player is Magnus Carlsen. I love him. I don't know if you guys have heard about him, but he's a sensation in chess. He's won the chess championships for over 5 years in the world now. 5 times in the world now. I think it's a very, very good sport, and I personally am a chess coach. So if anyone is interested in playing chess, please feel free to contact me.
iPhone, we don't know your name.
My name is Krishi. Sorry, I think I forgot to put it up next to the iPhone.
So you have advertised yourself without giving your name. Okay, Mr. Himmat, why don't you evaluate Krishi?
Thank you. I think she covered everything very well. The only one thing, yes, you pointed it out, was without giving her name. So that's the only one, but otherwise I think she would have carried people and got them interested. Thank you.
Yeah, I think she really got us interested. Krishi, I want you to improve your speech by giving one personal experience. Where are you, Krishi?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so why don't you improve your speech by giving us one personal experience? What made you a better chess player? Because the audience always connects more when you give your own experience rather than giving somebody else's experience.
Yes. So when I was little, whenever I used to lose in chess tournaments, I always used to start crying. So I didn't take it in a good way. I used to have a lot of anger, like, why did I lose when I practiced so much? What's missing in me that I lost my game? But as I grew up and as I started taking part in so many more tournaments along the years, then I realized that it should come from me. So when I lose a game, I should take it in a positive way, and I should use that as motivation for my next game. Instead of saying, why did I lose? I should look at all the things I did wrong in the game and improve on them so that I don't repeat the same mistakes in my next game.
Well done. I think that will give everyone motivation to improve when we don't achieve something that we want to. So that will be your key point of your speech. Okay, Manav, would you like to add anything where Krishi can improve?
I think it was a good speech, although maybe she should do another experience, like when she started playing, how she got into it, to help other people get into it, so she can relate more to the audience.
Good. Thanks, Manav. So everybody's opinion matters. Remember, as a speaker, it is your choice what you want to take and what you want to ignore. You will get evaluation maybe from 2 or 3 evaluators. They will speak from their perspective. As a speaker, it is your choice what you wish to take on board, where you want to improve and what you want to ignore. So remember to have more than one mentor, because everyone will speak from a different angle. Everybody will have a different perspective. You will get many, many opinions. Then out of the many, you can select the few that you wish to take on board. Deepu Manjan, you're back. Can we have a speech from you, please? Deepu, would you like to try?
Hi, hi Komal, and hi everybody. So
please turn on your video.
Hi. Okay. The reason I'm here is because I'm very public shy and have trouble in speeches and things. Even I've not been experienced, and I actually get nervous and have public. So, okay, so I'll just tell you a little bit about Reiki healing. So I got exposed to Reiki healing a few years ago when a friend of mine did it on me when I was unwell, and it gave me a lot of peace, calm, energy, and well-being. Some of you might ask, what is Reiki? Reiki is energy healing. And in this COVID time, I got drawn to it because I was exposed to some online lessons and experiences of Reiki. And today I'm a Reiki healer, and we do so much volunteering and work for people who are unwell, who are going through issues. It could be anything from health or personal issues during this COVID time. And it's a beautiful, powerful, large worldwide group which is reaching out. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. We do something called grief trauma healing, which is for those who have lost people, especially in this pandemic. And if any of you would like to know a little bit more, do reach out to me or anybody else. And for me, Reiki has been my anchor, my support during this tough time. Thank you.
Deepu, I'm going to ask you to improve your ending, your closing. End it with something very strong that everybody will remember, both you and Reiki.
So for me, Reiki has been so this is what I mean, it doesn't come so naturally and so easily, especially when in a public forum. Anyway, so Reiki is just amazing. It has changed many, many lives. For me, it has, like I've said, it is for me, it's been a part of me during this time, and I think it will be forever. And it is simply energy healing and belief that everything is good. And we just have to create that attitude, an attitude of gratitude, and that's where you start from.
Good.
Sorry,
So
maybe you could help me.
no, it was, I mean, there was a lot of improvement. So your ending can be attitude with gratitude. Something of this. So this way people will remember you and your speech as well.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Good try. Can somebody evaluate Deepu? I'm going to ask Dinesh Kumar Jain to evaluate Deepu. Dinesh Kumar Jain, can you please evaluate Deepu? Okay, maybe not. Okay, Mr. Nattu Gutka can try to evaluate her.
Her speech was good. The message she gave was well presented.
And points of improvement?
Yeah.
No.
She gave a proper information what she is doing and how the people can get benefit from her experience.
Yes. Can you please state some points of improvement?
It was interesting to learn from your talk. Opening should be good. Avoid good morning. And ending should be very strong. Try to avoid negative thoughts. Be positive.
Okay. Okay, good try. That was a good evaluation. It can be made better as you do more. Let me just give you some information. In Kenya, we have a forum called Toastmasters. There you get to speak in front of an audience. It is a wonderful forum because everyone encourages each other and there is no discrimination or there is no negative ways of evaluation, because evaluation is there to improve us. And the way how we are evaluated can either make us or break us. So if anybody gets an opportunity, it's not just in Nairobi, it is globally. There are many Toastmaster centers globally. In Kenya, we have 11 clubs. If you need more information, I would be happy to give you. I also do public speaking, but what I recommend, I also do public speaking coaching, but what I recommend is that you join Toastmasters. Because when you do it with me, it'll be just one-on-one. Again, you will not have an audience. A forum like Toastmasters will not only boost your confidence, but you will meet people of all walks of life. You will notice that everyone's accent is different. You will notice that everyone is culturally also different. And you will get to learn how to deliver a speech in a different cultural environment as well, and how to speak with confidence with what you believe in. Anybody has any questions so far on public speaking? Remember that this is a forum which is not best suited on Zoom, but due to the pandemic, we have no choice but to do a lot of things on Zoom. Such a forum should always be in a public gathering so that you can benefit from it much better. However, we have tried our best to give you the best of information on technology, which is perhaps very much in use and should be used also again in a positive way. Manav, answer. Yes, please ask your question.
Should you use visualization of speech to make it better?
Yes, you can. You can use lots of visual aids. For example, if you're explaining about maybe a pen, for example, you can always show one. And when you show one, people will be able to see it. Hearing comes second. 1 second. Hearing comes second. The first thing is seeing. So visual aids are extremely useful. Sight will immediately paint a picture. Hearing will paint a picture after you see it or after you see it in your mind. So most definitely go ahead and use as many visual aids as possible. Just make sure that you don't use too many of it to confuse your audience. Any other question anybody has? Yes, Mr. Natu?
Yeah, when you deliver your speech, should you ask the audience some questions so to becomes sort of a lively atmosphere?
Yes, you can. There are two scenarios. In some scenarios, you can ask questions, so you just need to assess. And in certain scenarios, you might not get an opportunity to ask questions. If, for example, if you're delivering a speech at the United Nations, you're expected to only speak. But in a forum like this, you can most definitely ask questions where your audience will also get engaged.
And what about your dress up? Should be reasonably dressed up or to be too much? Sort of how you present yours.
Your appearance, your appearance highly matters. It matters because, as I said earlier, that eye sees first, then the sound reaches the ear. So your appearance highly matters. You should be dressed according to the occasion. Now you need to assess, you cannot wear party clothes at the United Nations, and at a party where you're giving a speech, maybe at a wedding function, you cannot wear something like a suit. I mean, this I'm talking about ladies, that females perhaps cannot dress up how they would dress up maybe in a formal situation. So dressing, it matters a lot. How you dress and how you conduct yourself on stage really matters. On Zoom, we cannot show it fully, but on a physical stage, we can actually show that even how you stand matters a lot. Avoid crossing your legs on stage. Try to keep your feet on the ground. Don't tip-top. Don't bounce on stage as you notice. Some people do it. Some people put their elbows on the podium and they are leaning on the podium. So these are not good ways, or the posture is not correct. The posture should be straight. The posture should show that you're confident. If you're leaning or if you are hunched back, it is showing that you are not confident. And when you pace at a good pace, it is showing that you're engaging with the audience. If you pace too quickly, again, it is showing your nervousness. If you keep on looking at the paper, it is again showing nervousness. If you give eye contact to your audience, they will appreciate it. So these are the tips that you need on stage, which we all know. We simply need to remind ourselves. Any other question? Any experience anybody would like to share from their public speaking in like any setting? You might be a teacher in a school, or you might be somewhere in your workplace.
Komal?
Yes, who is that?
Yeah, I'm Dinesh here.
Oh, just give me a second. Let me find you. Okay. Yes, okay. Yes, please talk.
Okay, very nice speech. I just learned many things, but I'm not a public speaker and I have not given any speech. But I like your ideas and everything. Now, in short, what you tell, This in Reader Digest, I've read some years back. There was a quote, but it's not example was given. Not good, but I can just share it here. It was regarding short stories. It should be like a miniskirt, as short as to attract and as long as to hide. So this applies to your speech also. It should be very attractive and short. So people will like that one. If it's long speech, people will just ignore it, and sometimes they go to sleep also.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah, and regarding this chess player who, without mentioning her name, she just explained her things and all that. This regards to Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, what we call it. In many speeches, it doesn't mention any name, any countries, but just gives directly the message to that particular country or person.
Yes, yes, yes. Thanks for your feedback. In every like situation, it might differ. In this particular like situation, she needed to give her name simply because people needed to contact her. But you're right. There are like situations where we don't need to give any names or any countries or any names of countries, and it works very, very well. Okay, so I think we are good for today. If anyone has any last questions, we can address them. Otherwise, we can stop for today. And when the time is right, I think it'll be a good idea to have it in public, where we can show more actions. Maybe we can do more like a practical work, so that everyone benefits more rather than on Zoom. But at least for now, you have more than 5 to 10 tips to take home for today, which you can start to implement. And when we meet next time, perhaps we can learn more things.
Komal, I had one question if you have time.
Yes, I do have time.
So I heard that the most powerful way to speak is with your natural timbre and tone, that it's like having a conversation. And yet, for public speaking, there's often this, people take this, I'm public speaking now, so I have to speak in a public speaking fashion. Yet, there's also a view that if you just speak with your direct tone of voice, that's what communicates best and is more aligned with the increasing authenticity that people are looking for at the moment. I wondered what your view was on that.
Okay, so that's a very good question. If you want my opinion, I would still emphasize on vocal variety, because vocal variety makes it interesting. If it's the same tone, because if both of us are talking, we will use the same tone. But here we want to emphasize on something. On certain words, we want to put more force. On certain words, we want the audience to click. And certain sentences, we want the audience to remember. So I will still emphasize on vocal variety because it will take the message directly to the brain. And as you notice, maybe when we watch movies or when we watch plays, they're overacting. Many times we will say it, oh, they're overacting, but that overacting is required. It is required because there are certain areas, you see, when both of us are talking, we have the attention confined to those two people. When you're talking to an audience, you're reaching out to many people and you want to grab everyone's attention. So yeah, I will say that vocal variety is very, very important when you're giving a speech in public. I hope I've answered your question. If not, feel free to ask again.
Just a variant on that, do you have any particular tips for how to have a great impact? I think it was Maya Angelou who said, people may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So are there any tips or recommendations for how to strike most powerfully?
Yes, choice of words. Choice of words. You have to paint a picture. When you paint a picture, they will be able to feel it. I will repeat the sentence that I'd said earlier. Her nails cutting into her palms. Imagine the pain she felt. Her nails were cutting into her palms. Can you imagine the pain she was feeling? So it is a feeling that you will take home. You will forget my words. You will most definitely forget the words, but you will feel her pain. So you are absolutely right. So it is the choice of words, and it is through words that we paint a picture. Let's take another example that I said earlier. Oh, dipping pani puri in luscious green water. So delicious. This will immediately paint that ball of green water in front of you. And that round pani puri will come in front of you. Like you will be able to see it in your mind. So paint a picture so well that for years and years and years, you will remember that one speaker, particularly for that 1 or 2 sentences.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. I think we're okay for today. If there are no more questions, we can end today's session and perhaps have it some other time again when everything is open again. Okay, have a nice afternoon, evening, wherever you have tuned in from. And it was great to interact with everyone. And I think especially with young Manav, who was very enthusiastic. Continue. And if you wish, get in touch with me. I will be able to assist you. I think you have tuned in from England. I will be able to assist you. Who can assist you better to improve on your skills? Because as it is, you are a very good speaker. Thanks. Bye, everybody.